Hey guys, I just want to let you know before we get into this episode that we've partnered with Band Builder Academy. Band Builder Academy is the #1 place to grow your music career. Run by top label manager and Sony Vice President Todd McCarthy, so you know it's worth it. Enter promo code CONCERTS at checkout to receive 10% off membership.
Hi, this is Alex from Kill Cowboys, and you're listening to Concerts That Made Us.
Is everybody in? Is everybody in? The show is about to begin.
Welcome to the podcast, Concerts That Made Us. Interviews and stories, tales from the bus. We love taking you back to when it all went down. The greatest live shows and that cheering crowd sound. It's concerts, concerts that made us, concertsthatmadeus.com.
On this episode, I'm chatting with Alex from Kill Cowboys, a very exciting band coming out of South Africa. Kill Cowboys are set to release their latest single, I Don't Want Your Drugs, this Friday, August 26th, and you're gonna hear all about it. But before we do, we're gonna take a listen to their last release, Polar Operational Environmental Satellite, to give you a taste of what they're all about. So, without further ado, let's get on with the show. Alex, you're very welcome to Concerts That Made Us.
Thanks for having me.
I'm delighted to have you. So it's very exciting times for you guys. You're about to release your latest single, I Don't Want Your Drugs. Would you like to
Yeah.
tell us about it?
Yeah, it's we're pretty pumped about it. Really stoked with how it came out, how it was mixed, all of that. Yeah, I mean, it's basically sort of, I guess, a sort of duality with the song. I mean, it's obviously about, very factually, like, I don't want your dirty drugs, man, but also kind of about, I guess being in like toxic relationships where it sort of ends up becoming like that. So I think it was written a bit of like from a personal experience of just kind of having that separation of knowing when something is sort of unhealthy and toxic, and whether it's the actual, we've all been there, done that. It's been in those moments of abusing things physically and also more in like an emotional sort of state. So that's sort of the precipice of the song. Yeah, pretty excited about the release.
Yeah, I'd say so. And is there a good amount of anticipation from fans?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've had quite a few shows over the last few weeks. I was in Europe for a while. So as I've come back, we've had quite a few shows and everyone's pretty pumped about it. We've also got a music video that'll go along with it that will drop a few weeks after that. So I think people are pretty excited. Yeah, getting good feedback already. So we'll see what happens, right?
Yeah, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. And something I noticed with you guys is it's very hard to kind of put you in a box. It's like if you're telling somebody about your music, it's hard to be like, yeah, they're this kind of sound or they're that kind of sound. How would you describe it?
I mean, I kind of feel the same way. I mean, I guess to give it like an overall, I guess label in a sense. I mean, I guess we're sort of, it's like grunge, a bit of like punk influences, a bit of psych vibe. But I mean, for us as well, that is kind of the vibe. We've never had an intention of going, we want to have a band that sounds like this. It's just kind of what happens when we jam together and write together. And I kind of dig that. I've never really wanted to, kind of like be put into a box. So I think for all of us, it's quite cool that people can watch our shows and can dig it from, whether they're like metalheads or, into like, punk or whatever it is. I feel like it's kiff that we've got like a nice all-rounded sort of feel. We can play with a lot of different bands, which is cool. So thank you for noticing that. I like that.
No problem. And there's one thing I'm dying to know. There's something I came across, a word I've never heard to describe music before. Cowpunk. What on earth is cowpunk?
I mean, that was more like my guitarist. Like he started just researching different bands and came across this like genre of cowpunk, and sort of, I guess, my guitarist and myself, we used to play like country projects together, a lot of like country stuff, and I come from also like a very like underground punk background. So yeah, I mean, I grew up playing in punk bands from when I was 16. So it's kind of this thing of going, we found this little genre of people that kind of mix country with punk. That's not quite like folk punk. It's got more of a country vibe, but it's also like bluesy and like psyche. And so he was like, hey man, we found our people. And I was like, sick. But I mean, from then we really divulged into a whole different direction. So it's not even car punk anymore. I'm not sure why.
Right.
Yeah.
And the story of the band then, initially it was born out of lockdown. But how did you get from, starting off your solo EP to having We Kill Cowboys?
I mean, it's I've always played in bands, my whole life. I've never really felt that like I'm sort of inkling towards being a solo artist. But I think after about 3 years of just having a complete fucking, can I swear? Is that
you can?
Okay.
You can.
A writer's block. Like COVID was like this thing of going, no excuses, everyone's busy, you're forced now to like just start writing, just get over yourself. And that sort of evolved into my solo stuff. And I love doing it. And obviously then starting to play shows again, playing on my own. It's just not this. I've always loved playing with people and having that like family vibe and just, tightness together and creating music together. So I just wanted to play loud shit. I wanted to find dudes that would dig to jam. And that was sort of the direction I went. It kind of happened super organically, and in a sense that I honestly never thought that I'd be playing in a band again. I guess with a lot of other punk bands, I kind of gone to other bands, but doing my own stuff, it's been years. And so there was just always that drive to really figure that out again. And so I mean, I was real stoked when I phoned my guitarist Jono, and I was like, hey, bro, it's been a fucking while. Like, what do you feel about this? And he was like, dude, I would love to jam with you. And from there, it sort of went, okay, let's find a drummer, let's find a bassist. And, just got these dudes in, and it just was this beautiful thing of like, we were all just meant to be together. And so that's sort of how it evolved from my solo thing to going, let's start a fucking band, let's play loud music, and let's just have a good time, And that's where we are today.
Do you think then in South Africa it's very easy to find like-minded people when you're trying to put together a musical project?
It's kind of, I guess, in a sense, because we're, it's not a huge country. And when it comes to, I guess the more underground sort of scene of things, a lot of us have grown up together. We all played in bands from when we were like teenagers. And so it's sort of, even though we're all like in our 30s now, we still know each other. We don't always see each other, but there's people still jamming and doing things. So definitely it comes to like, also, I mean, a lot of people have moved away and are doing their own thing. So on one hand, it is kind of like tapping into like, hey, what is he doing now? What is she doing now? But in the same light, it's also, I think our music sort of scene has really changed over the last 15 years. So in that light, it's also kind of tricky because, a lot of people have gone into more electro stuff or gone into different genres of music. So, and I don't know if it's like this in Europe or anywhere else, but trying to find fucking drummers is almost a nightmare. And in our country, it's like the hardest thing to find as a drummer, because you got one dude playing in like 7 bands. So I think with us, it was just kind of, I feel like we were all meant to be together. And I do kind of like, I feel very grateful for that because I feel like there's a bit of like a universe sort of guided us together, which was cool. And I think for other bands, it's not always that simple, to find people that are like-minded, also on like a personal level, So, yeah.
I definitely hear that. All right. That's the most common thing I come across is that drummers are very hard to find. It's like everybody wants to be, the cool guitar player and they just forget about drums.
Yeah, I think it's also having to carry around, 27 different little small items. Everyone's like, fuck that. I'll just be a vocalist.
That's probably it, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
I usually like to get a sense of how you got to where you are when it comes to music. So I'd like to dig into your history for a bit. Can you remember your very first musical memory?
Yeah, I mean, I guess when I was maybe about 3 or 4, there's always just this sort of moment of my parents playing Nina Simone on record and just me like on the couch and just in it. And that's always something that kind of, I've always remembered that moment. And even though at that age, we don't always remember things, but that's sort of one thing that I remember very clearly is sort of hearing her and really connecting to that. And then, I mean, pretty much since I was about 7 or 8, I've been playing piano, and I always, I don't know, I just grew always having a very close bond with music. Both my parents were very, not musicians, but always a crazy vinyl collection. And I think the first time I went to the UK when I was about 10, and I saw these like crusty punk dudes on the train, and with all their tats and like they were like jamming and they were busting afterwards, and I was just like, that is what I want to fucking do. And it's just always something I've just felt a very strong bond towards, man. It's kind of like very deep in my bones. So yeah, so from there it was kind of like learning to play piano, and then, I don't even know how I even got into the punk scene. I think it's just like meeting kids at school and sort of like, hearing different music and sort of like sharing stuff. And just from there, really connecting to punk and to, I guess also sort of like heavy blues, but like mostly punk. And from there, starting a punk band when I was 15. And, I did a lot of cool shows, and from there, it's just been a fucking journey, man, of just playing with a lot of other big bands and playing a lot of bands myself, doing a lot of tours and festivals and that kind of thing. Yeah, I guess I'm kind of jumping forward in time here, but
No, it's fine. It's fine. So when it comes to bands, what factors do you think make, a successful band or a tight band?
I mean, 100%, obviously you're rehearsing. I think like any craft, like super vital. For me personally, though, a big thing has definitely been the connection I have with people. So I definitely think, what makes it's like a family, right? Like any relationship, it's like having that really everyone's on the sort of same wavelength with the same sort of ideals about life. Of course, having the same sort of similar music tastes, but also it can be cool when people are into different stuff, I think what bonds us as a band and bands that I've played in before that have been successful, it's really been about the people caring about each other, having fun together and connecting, it's something you can't hide, even watching a band on stage, or it's something you can't fake really, is that like real bond that you have with each other. So I think for me, the most important thing is friendship and like common respect for each other. And then letting that like really infuse into the music and then just having a fucking good time. If you aren't having fun, there's no point,
Yeah.
And then of course, then you're rehearsing, taking your craft seriously is always going to be a very important thing. Like with any good band, we've got to practice, we've got to rehearse, we've got to do it. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, I think one of the most important things you mentioned though is having a good time. If you're up there on stage having a good time, it comes across very easily to the audience. Then the audience start having a good time, and you're swapping energy like that. What's your songwriting process?
For me, it's I sort of get this like urge, this feeling that I have. It's like something is coming. I can't quite put my finger on it. I will sit with my guitar at home and sort of play around with chords and those kind of things. I'll often spend a few days of just like, it can't come out. I can't get this out. And often it'll come like the third or fourth day of getting a feeling of the song that's coming. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but this is just how it is. It will sort of just be a matter of like sitting down for an hour. And I don't know, for me, it's kind of fluid. Like I'll get a melody pretty quickly. And once I have that sort of melody, that idea of the melody in my head, it will take a day or two before lyrically that content comes out. From that point, I'll take that to the band room and sort of go like, hey, man, here's a new track. This is a sort of vibe and idea I have, and just play it very loosely for the boys. And then very much for us, it's a super integrated writing process. Then everyone is kind of going, hey, let's just start jamming it. Ideas flow. Everyone gets involved. We're a very like democratic band. There's no like cracking the whip band leader situation. So, and I mean, look, there are the odd times where I'll have those sort of melodies, those basic riffs in place and the sort of basic song structure, and we'll bring it there. And only lyrically a week or two later, it will come to me. But most of the time, I pretty much can write the whole song at home by myself and then come to the boys, and then we sort of do that all together, and the magic happens in the band room,
Yeah. And how would you compare the songwriting process, say, for your solo stuff compared to the band?
I feel obviously when I'm writing stuff on more like a solo level, it's definitely there's a different mindset because I'm not thinking about the entirety of having drums and having, like different elements. And it's kind of, I'm writing it more in a state of going, if I sat and played this by myself to 30 or 40 people, like it's a different sort of train of thought. When I'm writing, for this band, it's definitely on a bigger scale of like, how can we make this fucking huge, So, and also I think with writing for this band, for me, it's kiff because I kind of like lyrically, I really dig to, write things that are kind of like, it's like keeping your open mind. Like, obviously I dig to write like politically based shit about how fucked the world is and all those kind of things. And also on like personal levels of like people connecting to, things, how we feel, how we think about things, like, the psychology of who we are as human beings and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think writing for the band for me does feel more exciting because it's kind of like going and coming with a super rough idea. And I just know when I go in there, like the boys are going to just have something really cool and they're going to hear and feel something that I wouldn't have heard when I'm writing it by myself, and often that's what happens I might have an idea in my head of like, oh, this part can be like this and it can go like this. And I get there. And then, Jono's like, oh, what about this? And Matt's playing this thing. And I'm like, holy shit, I didn't even think about that, So I guess that's where the difference lies. It's exciting, man, to see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing I always love asking is, from a concert goer point of view, what concerts do you think have made you?
I would definitely say every show we've played has actually been really, I mean, look, we're sort of like a new band in terms of we've been together, we rehearsed for a whole year without playing any shows. And then we've played about maybe 8 shows in total in the past 7 months since we've actually like been on the circuit. And then we did a tour, like a nationwide tour 3 months ago. And I think that really sort of like was what set it off as kind of going to Johannesburg and going to Pretoria and playing a really big festival, which was a kind of, after COVID, like just getting back into that kind of element. And playing that big festival with a lot of bigger bands that, I maybe guested with before, or that I used to book when I was a booker many years ago, and like playing on a really cool big stage with those kind of bands and those organizers and those, the interviewees and all those kind of people. That was kind of definitely where it was like, okay, check these dudes out. They're pretty fucking rad. So, I mean, from there, it's definitely kind of spun us up. And I mean, we've got some really exciting shows coming up with like pretty big bands, which I think is super exciting. And I mean, look, all those small club shows we played have definitely had a big impact too. So it's hard for me to even really say what show really stemmed it. I just feel like since we started, we've just had such rad feedback and really cool support. Obviously also from our label. So it's just kind of like building that from there,
You mentioned your label there. It must feel like you're almost caught up in a whirlwind. Everything seems to have happened so fast. How do you wrap your mind around that?
I mean, there have been moments where it's a bit overwhelming. I mean, not to say like we're anything big or anything like that. We're still new, but I mean, for sure, it's been a very much sped up process. And I've honestly just trusted how things play out. It's like there's been no expectation of anything. Whatever sort of come, it's been like, this is really cool. Trust this thing, keep our heads down and just fucking work hard. And, I just honestly feel very grateful because I know a lot of bands out there spend years, really trying to get the sort of traction and unfortunately it is, it's like the industry is about connections, which is just like one of those things, and of course you got to be a solid band and have something to deliver. But I mean, I think also from playing music for so many years and being in the industry in South Africa for so many years, it's like people do know who we are from other projects. And so I think when we came together with this project, there was kind of excitement around that of going, shit, like, she hasn't played for a long time. And, like now these people are together, like what the hell they're going to do. And this is pretty exciting. So I felt a lot of that coming through when there was word about us, starting this project. People were like, oh, fuck, man, we can't wait to hear what's going to happen. So, man, I just think it was also timing. It was the right time. It was meant to happen. We were all meant to be together. And now the support's out there and it's great,
Definitely. People must have been thinking it was not like going to be some sort of super group almost when you got together.
So, yeah, maybe.
And you're also a pretty cool tattoo artist. That must be pretty cool. I always kind of feel like tattoos and rock and roll music go hand in hand, really.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure they do.
And that must help a lot with the artwork for the band and everything. You obviously have a large input into it.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, that's like I love doing that. And I mean, I think for me as well, it's just like a different medium of working with art. So, with tattooing, it's like there's parameters and there's certain rules, and being able to do the artwork for like my own band is just it's been so much fun. And from there, I've been able to like start doing artwork for other bands, which has been really cool. So, yeah, I think it's just cool that it opens up a whole different area, and also, to find someone and pay someone to do it because, as you know, it's like we don't make much money being musicians. So it's it's just been really fun and really exciting to like just and also having, I guess, maybe that control over creating, I guess like the imagery for like who we are and what we are, and also not like sticking in any sort of rules, just going like, hey man, fuck, this is what I can see. I want to create this, and there it is. So yeah, definitely helps a lot. Yeah.
I'd say so. And with the band down the line, you must have a roadmap laid out ahead of you. If you can say now, what do you want to achieve with it?
Oh, definitely Europe. I mean, definitely want to get to Europe next year and do a tour. I mean, that's sort of what we're busy chatting about now, is doing a European summer tour. I mean, fuck, if we can just play on all the stages, I guess, like, it really is like we want to go as far, we want to see how far we can take this band. So Europe's a big thing. I mean, we'd love to like, play festivals like Desert Days, go to the States and play like those kind of big psych fests. But I think definitely just, pushing things, seeing where we can take it, seeing where our music sort of goes as well, and just really putting in all the work that we can. Yeah, I mean, look, South Africa, we've got a great little thing here, but we struggle here, man. We've lost a lot of venues through COVID, and there's definitely a much more of a space to sort of be able to like, hold musicians and hold bands like us overseas, unfortunately. So we can only kind of go as far as we can go in our country. And from there, it's kind of going, let's get over there and see what happens and see how we are received and see if we can really push this thing,
So Africa, for me, has always been a kind of a weird one. It seems like there's such a vibrant music scene, but it seems like it wasn't always supported. And then when COVID happened, it kind of decimated, like you said, a lot of venues and everything. It's kind of sad, really,
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, I think what I love about our country is also, I mean, it's so diverse, right? And even when it comes to the underground scene, there's just, everyone's grown up in sort of from different cultures and different sort of backgrounds. And, like growing up in the punk, we had this really special sort of underground punk era. When I was from like 15 to about like my early 20s. And that was skate parks and just hardcore HXC, ska bands, punk bands, just all playing together. Everyone was really there for the music, and it saved a lot of us as kids, growing up in like maybe super religious backgrounds or, very sort of conservative backgrounds. So, and definitely over the time, it's like electronica came in and took a lot of that away. And now there's definitely a lot of really cool bands trying to do cool stuff. It's difficult because we don't have a lot of venues to support loud music. And also just, I mean, like financially, when it comes to making money as a musician in our country, it's really difficult. It's not something that many people can do. And so I think part of that, it's like, I feel like as musicians, we're extremely hardworking. As Africans, it's like things are never easy for us. We have things like load shedding. We have no power for certain hours of the day, So it's like we've all these little things that really, it's like, if you want this, man, you got to fucking push for it, because it's not just like, here are all these venues and, oh, here's a guarantee, here's food, here's money, don't worry about it. You want to go on tour? Everything's sorted. It's like, it's got to come out of our pockets. So it's really like, we really care. It's about really caring about it and about really supporting each other as musicians. And that's sort of the crux of it, is it's like all grassroots. And look, hopefully as time goes, there'll be a bit of a revival around people investing into music venues and giving a shit about live music. And until then, we just keep going, and we put up pop-up shows and we support each other, and we try to keep it alive and try and encourage the younger guys to get involved in it, and to not be despondent by the fact that maybe we don't have the biggest infrastructure, but we still have something fucking cool. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think South African bands deserve a lot of respect. I know in other countries, like you have to put a lot of yourself into it, and it is a struggle to make it. But when you have that plus what you have to overcome to actually get a band going in South Africa, you deserve a lot of respect for actually choosing to go into that line of work.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Yeah.
So we'll get on to the last couple of questions.
Cool.
If there was an artist or performer from history you could see in concert for one night only, who would it be?
Yo, that is so hard. Like Johnny Cash for me personally.
I like it.
Yeah, that would just be amazing. Yeah, definitely Johnny Cash. I mean, it's like, it's so hard though. And also a band like the Distillers, fucking Rancid, Led Zeppelin. But yeah, I think definitely for me, like I'm a big Johnny Cash girl. So if that was even a possibility, or Nirvana even, I mean, it's like, I'm sure many of us feel that way. But yeah, I think Johnny Cash, if I could meet him and share a stage with him and pick his brain, that'd be amazing. Yeah.
I'll make it a bit harder. So what era Johnny Cash?
Oh my gosh. I mean, he was just, even as an old man, it's like, I think definitely after his sort of like gospel stage, like his beginning stage, I think more from like when he started coming into his own, it's like Man in Black and like Folsom Prison, like all that kind of era when he took a lot of drugs and sort of fucking out a bit.
Yeah.
That's the kind of Johnny Cash that I would dig to like talk to and just, yeah, I just think, I mean, he just was also like, someone as well, he just pushed the boundaries. and I think that's like a lot of us can relate to that,
Yeah, I think nowadays with Johnny Cash, though, he's kind of, with younger people coming up, he's kind of overlooked. He's seen as this old guy who, like the video for Hurt and stuff like that.
Exactly.
People tend to forget that at one stage, like, he was one scary dude. He scared the establishment and everything.
He was punk as fuck, actually. I mean, that's fucking punk rock, man, the way he was, Yeah, 100%.
Exactly. And the next one, if you could be locked in a room for 24 hours with any artist from history, who would it be?
Oh my God. Jeez. Well, fucking probably Johnny Cash. Any artist from history? I always go freaking so blank with these kind of questions. I'm sorry, I'm the worst. I mean, yeah, definitely him, like Janis Joplin for sure. I think, yeah, it's like a lot of, a woman like her, like, man, went through so many struggles and so many different stages, and like a lot of, even Jewel. I mean, I'd love to sit with Jewel and chat to her. Like, I mean, I've listened to a lot of her podcasts and her interviews, and just, I think that woman went through this crazy shit. I'm always very fascinated by people that really went through those sort of things and kind of like managed to get through it and did what they love. So someone like her, I'd love to talk to. What's going to happen is after this interview, I'm going to be like, fuck, man, I should have said this. I knew it.
It's always the way.
No.
But yeah, there's some good ones. Some good ones. I like, you were able to answer the question. It wasn't, oh God.
Yes, we can try.
And if there was a song, this one might be the toughest of the three. If there was a song that could appear on the soundtrack to your life, what would it be?
Whoa. The soundtrack to my life. Oh man. Like lots going through my brain. I think about, maybe even a song by the Distillers, not Carl Fang on Sing Sing Death House. I would say, is it Revenant? Yeah. When she says, "We are the revenants, we all rise up from the dead, we become the living, we are back to," it's just kind of like, also Brody Dale, it's like very much, that song is kind of about making it through, abusive situations, toxic situations, stuff that happens when you're a kid, and just really sort of like pushing through that, and becoming the woman you are today, working on your shits. And like, so I think, that song, every time I listen to it, it's kind of brings up those feelings of just kind of like, we just got to keep on pushing through. So that probably be, again, I'll probably think of something better afterwards. But that's my first sort of thing that popped into my brain. It's always been a track that's, I felt like, fuck yes,
That's the one. So good one. And lastly, what is set in stone for the rest of the year for you guys?
We are gigs, man. So yeah, opening for the Springbok New Girls next Thursday, which we are very excited, to put it mildly.
I'd say so.
Cool and calm about it, but pretty fucking pumped. And then we're playing Smoking Dragon Festival, which is a cool New Year's festival in the mountains at the end of the year. Just a lot of gigs happening. We'll probably release the rest of the EP before the end of the year, before we start tracking for the next one. And I think just writing, so we can have some cool new shit to release for next year, and just getting the momentum back and going. And that's what we're going to be doing. Yeah.
Sounds good. I have to say now, you've just made me hugely jealous. I had Arno from the Nude Girls on the show before. He's
cool.
Such a cool guy. But seeing the two of you guys in a concert, like, that would be the ultimate for me now. I'd be in heaven.
Oh man, I wish we could just get you a little flight right over there. Thanks, man.
Try record it or something and send me the video.
Man, absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, we're very excited. It's quite, that's quite a big deal. Feel very grateful. So it's like, gotta get those chops in place. Make sure we just don't disappoint.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Alex, it's been an absolute pleasure. I've really enjoyed chatting with you now.
Yeah, thanks, man. Vice versa. Really enjoyed our chats, and hopefully again soon we can do this.
Hey guys, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. And if you're interested in signing up to Band Builder Academy, use the link in the show notes below and enter the code CONCERTS and you'll receive 10% off. So, until next time, keep rocking. Hey, what are you guys still doing here? The show's over. It's over. You can go home. Go on. We'll see you next time. We'll be here. Bye.